Hey people, it is Friday, June the 21st. The time is 10:50 in the evening, or late night, I should say maybe, and it is currently 21 Celsius, feeling more like 29 Celsius with the Humidex. Still a hot and sticky day, although the heat warning did come to an end today after several days of being in effect. And I'm on the corner of Queen Street West and Portland Street. There's a look at the Velvet Underground. And I thought I'd take a walk south along Portland here to King Street. And we'd check out the nightlife scene along King Street West, which is sort of the heart of the club and lounge scene. Queen Street also has its own nightlife scene, which is quite different in nature from the King Street scene. But I guess you could say the biggest concentration of nightlife and clubs is along King Street West, where it intersects with Portland Street. That's sort of like the heart of the biggest hub of nightlife in the city these days. But depending on what sort of nightlife you're into, there are many other spots that you can check out that offer something different, such as Dundas West or Ossington, College Street, Yorkville, Church Wellesley, and Queen Street, just to name a few. The King Street scene is very sort of upscale in nature, I guess you could say. Being such a nice night, I'm expecting it to be pretty busy. Coming right up to prime going out on the town hours now, close to 11 p.m. And we'll probably encounter lots of copyright music as I make my way along King Street. I think what I'll do is I'll head west along the north side of King Street from Portland. And then once I get to Bathurst Street, I'll cross to the south side and make my way back eastward along the rest of the length of King Street. This part of the nightlife area extends roughly from Bathurst to Spadina. But there's also a busy nightlife on King Street east of Spadina in the entertainment district. And Portland Street here also has its fair share of spots. Just crossing Adelaide. And I've said it before, the variety of nightlife found in this area is not really my cup of tea. But it's obviously very popular with a large chunk of the population. It's a pretty young scene as well. And people really get dressed up when they hit the King Street clubs. Very different than Queen Street, for instance, which we were just at. And very different than Dundas West or Ossington, for that matter. Maybe a bit more similar to Yorkville, although Yorkville, I think, is a bit of an older crowd than here on King. coming up to the main intersection, King and Portland. So what I think I'll do, as I was saying, is I'll start heading west here. And we'll make our way over to Bathurst. There we go, King and Portland. Got Ruby Soho. And about as busy as I was expecting. And there's lots of these neat little alleyways, which are often full of seating for patios and things of that nature. Or they might lead to a entryway to a club. Lots of awesome old historic buildings on this part of King Street. In the daytime, many of these places operate as restaurants, and at night they become more like a nightclub. There's one of those little alleys I was talking about. And there's a fairly high turnover with the bars and restaurants along here. Some of them have been around for years, but many of them don't last more than a couple of years. Here's Bathurst, so I'm going to cross.
Your name?
Toronto's oldest bar over there. It's called the Wheat Sheaf. And there was a popular spot on this corner called the Banknote. It's now the site of a construction site for a new subway station. And what is all the commotion over in that direction?
Okay, let's just do it. Oh, yes.
And now heading east on the south side of King. This will take us right past lots of crowds here and patios.
Right here, we're coming up to back.
And maybe some lineups to get inside. And no doubt some music will be blasting out of these places.
10 minutes.
Lavelle, this one has been around for a while.
All today, I'm telling you, a dozen fucking times. And it's not like...
Recording and got it to a 5.
And we'll probably see lots of very serious looking doormen.
Hi. Like, I'm like, no, thank you. Bye-bye.
Qu'est-ce ça?
لا ولكن اجي نقول I actually was.
And
I just put on the helmet. What are we feeling?
There's the Verst, the Earls. I can't say I've really been to any of these places. I think in the daytime I went to one of these places once when it was more like a restaurant. And we're coming back to King in Portland again. Strange place for a pooch to be hanging out. All right, Ruby Soho. And the music is loud, but it's a bit incoherent, so that's a good sign for the likelihood as to whether I'll get a copyright claim or not. It's a bit, sometimes the crowds of people drown out the music, which works in my favor. And that's a new addition, I think, to the neighborhood, those dangling legs on the top of that building there. We'll just check out some of the intersection action here.
what direction?
Keep getting better. I can't pay that much for it. I want to try, but I can't pay that much.
I see they got the hanging game thing here too. This is usually at Yonge and Dundas, or maybe there's more than one of them. It's basically a scam. Is this the lineup to get into Big Smoke Burger or, or another place?
Okay, this is everybody. Hi, I'm Megan. Nice to meet you. How's it going?
Not to Big Smoke Burger, but to whatever this is. Two cats.
That girl looks so nice though.
I don't know if that place has been around for a long time or not. It's new to me.
Yeah. Because that is your.
And I think I'll cross to the north side again, just so I don't have to walk under this extremely long construction hoarding. This is Belfast Love.
You're just like let down and talk.
This place seems to be in demand.
I wanted to research. I don't want to
But like my mom.
This sort of nightlife has never really been my scene, even when I was at prime age to partake in it. I've always been more of a bars with live music kind of guy. So Queen Street is more my scene. That's where you find most of those sorts of places. And some spots on Dundas West also.
And then it's just annoying.
In the daytime, this is completely different to walk along here. You can get a look at all the nice old brick buildings, some of which are very nicely lit up here at night. And the CN Tower peeking above.
I think you are.
So I usually make a video like this at least once every year, usually in the summer. And the odd time I'll do one in the winter, which is also surprisingly lively. This scene is not weather dependent, really. think that guy's having a rough time of it there. After last call, it can get quite rowdy at times. As you can imagine, lots of testosterone, lots of competition, who's going to go home with who and that sort of thing. Lots of fights, and then often, or not too often thankfully, but it's not unheard of to hear of shootings in the area, usually in the early hours. Thankfully, that's not an every weekend occurrence or anything.
Excellent, excellent. Look at the timing.
And we're crossing Spadina, so this is where we start to come out of the club and lounge scene there on King. Let's cross back to the south side. So as I was saying earlier, there's nightlife to be found on this part of King Street as well, just a different sort for the main, or for the most part.
Somebody figured it out. Find a bar.
I asked for the question, I was like, Senor Iglesias. Yes.
That might have to look to the other side. There was no one
You just multiply a bunch of
But you can always tell who's heading to King Street, not just based on which direction they're walking, or to the King Street scene back there, I should say. The west of Spadina scene. This is the entertainment district. Or is it now just called West Downtown?
There's only the other day, huh?
And we're at King and Peter, or Blue Jays Way, depending on which way you're going.
Yeah, you understand.
Coming up to Restaurant Row. And this place always has interesting music playing every time I walk past. Surprisingly good music usually. See the storefronts that were incorporated into this new high-rise development here. Old historic storefronts, which were part of Restaurant Row, but then became a construction site. But I think they'll be back in service, housing some new businesses. And Restaurant Row will be back to its old self eventually, hopefully. It got sort of shortened a bit. Here we go. So it's still lively here. Just a different sort of vibe than that other part of King Street. The outfits are definitely a bit different. Crossing John Street. And we walk through the liveliest nightlife area. From Bathurst to John. East of John, it's still an interesting area. It just takes on a bit of a different nature. We have several theaters.
Hold on.
So depending on what time those shows are playing, there can be some big crowds here. Princess of Wales Theatre there. And we got the Ed Mirvish Theatre up ahead.
Tickets are like $80. I'm like, bitch, that's not right. I don't know.
A new Frank Gehry designed skyscraper under construction right here. That'll be a landmark for the neighborhood. It's actually the first of two towers. It's called Forma. On the right here is David Pico Square. And there's the Royal Alexandra Theatre. Currently playing Mean Girls. So I think this is a good place to wrap up the walk here. As we can see the CN Tower peeking out from behind the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. So I hope you enjoyed the nightlife walk. Mainly along King Street West, but also a bit of Portland Street. And focusing on the stretch between Bathurst and John Street, where most of the nightlife along King is to be found. But obviously the star of this video was that stretch between Bathurst and Portland Street, or just a bit east of Portland, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed Friday night walk through the King Street club scene. So leave a comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also make sure you hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my videos. And if you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description where you can do so via PayPal as well as via my merch store. Or you can also support the channel by becoming a channel member or by sending a super thanks if you prefer. And you can find me on Instagram also under K Continuum. So thanks for watching, and be sure to keep checking back, because as always, I will continue.